Y'all ready to be history?
Get started.
Welcome.
Hi.
Hello, everyone.
To the Pro Audio Suite.
These guys are professional. They're motivated.
With Tech to the VO stars. George Whittam, founder of Source Elements. Robert Marshall, international audio engineer. Darren Robbo Robertson and global voice. Andrew Peters, thanks to Tribooth. Austrian Audio, making passion heard. Source Elements. George the Tech Whittam. And Robbo and AP's international demos. To find out more about us, check theproaudiosuite.com.
Line up, ladies!
Here we go.
And welcome to another Pro Audio Suite. Thanks to Austrian Audio, making passion heard, and Tribooth. Don't forget the code TRIPAP 200. That will get you $200 off your Tribooth. AI is a hot topic, and we have a couple of guests to talk about trying to beat AI, or at least control it a little. We have Larissa Gallagher and Cissy Jones.
Hello. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, you've been had.
If you believe you're really on a podcast.
Thousands of admiring fans.
Womp womp.
Who wants to fire off first?
How are you going to save the voiceover industry from AI?
We are. Thank you so much for asking. We are. You know, so here's the thing. Larissa and I have both been voice actors for many, many years. I've been a voice actress for 17, 18 years. I've worked in all the mediums that there are here. And when I started finding my voice on multiple websites without my consent, and when I reached out to the companies that were offering access to my voice for money without paying me anything, and I said to them, hey, that's me. You don't have my permission to have my replica in the first place, and you're not paying me for it. Please remove it. They said no.
Really?
They said, you don't own your voice. And they were right. So this approach has been multifold. Number one, I sit on the board of the National Association of Voice Actors. Anybody in the voiceover industry, I would hope, is familiar with NAVA and the work they've been doing. They also spawned AVA in Australia, CAVA in Canada, and multiple other advocacy groups around the globe. We've been working with legislators to get meaningful laws passed around the protection of our voices, adding the definition of voice to biometric data and copyrightable data, which is currently not a thing. So in addition to doing the legislative path and really working to get laws passed, Larissa and I and our co-founder Julian started talking and saying, even if we get these laws passed, there is nobody that is going to care more about a voice actor's voice than voice actors. Why are we not starting our own company? Why are we not trying to beat them at their own game? Why are we not planting a stake in the ground and saying, great, we understand this technology is here. It's not moving backwards. It's only getting better. This is how we expect to be treated as human beings and as professionals. And I think there's a dignity to that other companies just aren't offering because they are scraping everything.
I just want to peel a few things back. Just the first thing you said, which is you don't actually have rights to your own voice. Can you elaborate on that?
Currently.
Yeah.
Yes, so we've never had to. So if you look at biometric data and rights of publicity, it always refers to name, image, likeness. So for example, a celebrity can say, that's my picture on a billboard. You don't have my permission to use my picture on a billboard. That is an infringement of my rights of publicity, and you have to take it down. Great. Voice they never needed to add it to any of those definitions because we never had technology that could believably copy it until several years ago, well, they didn't pass any laws about this, but several years ago, I believe it was a Toyota dealership hired someone to sound like Bette Midler because they went to Bette Midler and said, hey, we really want you to do our ad. And she said, no, go pound rocks. And so they hired a sound-alike to come do it and passed it off as Bette Midler. She was able to sue and get it taken down because she's a celebrity, right? So she is able to get some rights of publicity associated to her voice because she is a well-known quantity. The rest of us are not. So right now you're having a spate of, people getting fake kidnapping phone calls from like a loved one who's been kidnapped and send $10,000 to this Nigerian prince to get your kid back or whatever. And they're very believable and they're very convincing and they're not illegal yet because there are no laws.
So comment on this one. I can't name names, but a friend of mine is the voice of a international reality show, doing it for years. It's a good gig. And over the years, they've beat them up we can't now pay you residuals for international play. We're going to pay you a flat rate for this. We're going to lower your contract for that. Every year they sign it again because they need the gig. And then one year they say, we're only going to hire you for pickups. And they're like, for what? And they're like, well, the pickups so we can't get the AI to do correctly. And then they say,
brutal.
I didn't give you permission. And then they pull out whatever contract they signed and said, well, you gave us the rights to own everything, and therefore we own it. We can pump it into the theft machine, and you have no right to say that we don't and kick rocks. And then they said, well, I guess that's the end of our relationship. I'm never going to do a pickup with you, so good luck using the AI, and you have what you have, I guess. And it just destroyed the whole, or possibly just, I don't know. It's just an awful situation. And it seems, obviously all driven by how far low can we drive the budgets and drive profit. And it didn't need to happen.
Laws are currently being crafted to combat exactly that. Because we, as voice actors, you all know, have to typically sign contracts, especially for games and especially for, this type of job that says in perpetuity throughout the known universe in any technology currently existing or to be developed. Well, I'm sorry. That cannot hold up in a court of law, and there are laws being crafted right now that specify exactly that. Any contract that was signed with that language cannot possibly be held up in a court of law because that's ridiculous and egregious. So there is legislation coming, but the government takes its sweet time to get it done.
If I can interject, that was kind of part of the, hi everyone, is part of the other reason that, kind of we wanted to set this standard, because the current companies out there that are providing AI and providing these solutions for everyone are kind of throwing their hands up in the air and going, but it's impossible. We can't do this. It's not true. It's very difficult because they did the old Silicon Valley,
move fast,
break it, and then ask for
move
forgiveness.
fast, break things. Ask for forgiveness later. And so we were like, well, look, part of this is about setting a standard and proving that it can be done, proving that it's not impossible and that we're going to try and do it. Part of our going to SAG-AFTRA was about saying we want to create a training foundational model that isn't scraped. Is it going to cost money? Yes. Is it going to be difficult? Yes. But if we can prove it can be done and people are trying to do it, it just makes it a little bit harder for the bad actors to go, but no, you can't, I don't know. So that's kind of the whole journey is, as long as there are people who are doing the bad things and there's no one proving that you can do it otherwise, then why wouldn't they keep doing it? So we're on the journey to kind of prove that it can be done, and we're making huge headway with the companies coming to us going, please, this is all we want, because these guys are great and they're amazing, but the ethical, authenticated, contracted path line back to the beginning doesn't exist, and that's what we want, and that's what we're kind of came about to show we can do that, and we're going to make it happen.
If I may also real quickly, because we come from this industry, we're not some tech bros coming in being like, yeah, but I got this tech and it's super bro, dude, right? We're actually coming in saying, listen, we understand the existing ecosystem. We understand the infrastructure. We understand the agency landscape. This is a thing that we want to include in this conversation. We're not trying to be a casting place. We're not trying to be a marketplace. We want to make this a thing that works for this industry, right? With a technology that is getting insanely good. And if we don't step up and say, cool, that's great, but I'm a human being and this is how you work with my replica. This is my agent. She'll negotiate my contract, right? We have to put our foot down to say how we expect to be treated in this situation, right?
I mean, this is no difference to me than musicians getting, as soon as you replicate more than 2 or 3 notes in a melody, everybody remember that?
Ice, baby. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
It's melody, it's rhythm. I mean, what makes Christopher Walken is his delivery.
Right. So you can't just, this translates directly to what voices are and voices and likeness are, in my opinion. But of course, these are prior art things that you have to call against and say, yo.
Yeah.
I think the problem is that the companies that did this went racing to an obvious fact, and then they're like, well, you didn't define theft before. And it's like, you knew absolutely what it was before you started. And just because you have like and the best parallel is your image likeness. If this whole paradigm exists with your image, how can it not exist with your...
Well, and for Scarlett Johansson to get the traction she did when OpenAI released her, right? That's basically saying, even if it was not Scarlett Johansson at the end, if it was a different actress,
so close.
They clearly hired her to sound like Scarlett and then released it with a tweet that said, hi, here's my right of publicity. You cannot make money off of my name.
Yeah.
But everyone deserves some level of right of publicity of their own voice. And the other thing, I think, who was it? Like TikTok, one voice actress.
Bev Standing.
Yeah.
No, Bev Standing,
but she
yeah.
settled out of court. I think she settled so no one knows what the settlement was. And I think that was a bit of possibly a disservice to not really rake them over the coals in public. And
Sure, but she's a one-person voice actress going up against a multinational conglomerate with billions of dollars. And she won,
Yes.
but if she had gone into open court, they would have dragged it out for years. I mean, listen, we've had a lot of conversations about, like, court cases, right? And oftentimes in a court case, it doesn't matter if you're right. It matters if you have the money to withstand the other guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. And here's something I was going to ask you, right? Because with what you're suggesting, how does it work? Like, it's okay for voice actors and all that sort of stuff. It's going to be clear, right? But say, little Freddie, who has a podcast with his mate they record in their bedroom, if someone decided that they liked his voice and they were going to clone him, how does he look after himself? Because little Freddie can't even afford a court case.
Let me tell you.
You can't, even voice actors can't do this, because I have clients that I know have loaded submixes into what have you, AI machine to get a scratch track out. And there's no concept that, I've loaded this into just like the open end of it that takes it. And the closest example I have is like The Fly, where like you go into the pod and the fly flew in the pod too. And now your voice comes out with like a fly sticking out the side of it. And you're in it. You're in it. You're not in it. It's arguable that it's all you. It's half you. But your data has been put into this giant mill without you having any input about that. And the fact that anybody can put anybody's voice into it is a problem in and of itself.
Agreed.
There's only one way I can see that you could ever control this properly.
Control the input.
And I can't see it actually happening anyway, is that if there was some way, and we talked about this with Tim Friedman, was that correct?
Friedlander.
Friedlander, sorry.
Who's the president of NAVA, by the way, and just an all-around amazing person.
Andrew's thinking of a musician.
I am. I'm thinking of the Whitlams, yeah. Like if you could actually get some kind of, like a fingerprint of your voice.
We have actually partnered with a group that has created one of the most robust watermarking, tracing, tracking technologies that we've seen. And we've evaluated a lot. But we found this company out of a group of graduate students out of USC that have created this really incredible watermarking technology that is lossless. It's a visual token on an audio or visual, video thing. It's layerable, so you can have it. If I record from home, I can put a token on it from home, and then you send it to the production studio. They can watermark it there. It's got a different token. Go to your distribution partners. It's got a different token, so you can see where any leaks may happen. And also, if it does end up on a non-authorized, non-sanctioned, like YouTube page, number one, it will call home. And so we can see when it's being unauthorized and used elsewhere. But the metadata that's included in the watermark will point anybody who clicks on that original or that YouTube link, that unauthorized YouTube link, will point them back to the original data owner. So it actually generates more sales for people if it's put up on an unauthorized YouTube page, which is super, super cool.
Wow.
And we're also looking at data poisoning technology that can basically function like nightshade for visual art, where if you have this technology on your visual art and somebody tries to upload it through Glaze or whatever, it will corrupt the file and give you a useless piece of art. And so we've been talking with other companies that are creating a data poisoning software that will do the same thing to your voice going through 11. So if they try to upload your voice through 11, it will garble it and make it unusable.
Yeah, 11's the biggest culprit here, isn't it?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of different companies. 11 is the 800-pound gorilla for sure, because they have the most money and they have, venture capital backing. And they've been around.
And to be
they've
fair,
been
they're
there for a
not
minute.
illegal. They're not doing anything illegally yet. So
Not yet.
it's, and
For the uninitiated like me, 11.
11 Labs is a voice AI platform.
Oh, okay.
It's probably the
Right.
most prolific at this point. And they charge $10 a month, and you can have access to thousands of voices in their marketplace.
That's them they're threatening a lawsuit because we're talking about them. Sorry.
And they are extraordinary. I do like they have really, gotten some great technology, and they have offered a service to people who needed it at the time. What we're trying to do is say, hey, there's a whole lot of people who, who want to use something different because privacy is mandatory, or they just feel uncomfortable being in this kind of general marketplace environment. They want a more B2B environment, or the training data, they want to be secured. And Andrew Peters gave me the finger in the best way.
Oh, Andrew, you have
I do. I was going to say, for Robbo, because you do know 11 Labs, Robbo. Because
I know them as soon as you said 11 Labs, but I was sitting here going, what the fuck's 11?
Yeah, because of the whole scandal in Australia at the moment is there's a radio station using an AI job.
It has nothing to do with Spinal Tap.
11, yeah.
That scandal is outrageous, by the way. But exactly,
Yeah.
that's the point, is that we're all about, we don't want to be the marketplace. We don't want to be come and find voices and you can make these voices say whatever they want. The actors that have already signed with us to be digital replicas, or any company that comes to us who says we want to work with these people, or, find us some people, whatever. Our whole point is to try and help with onboarding through agents and actors. But every actor, whilst they may not be able to approve the script due to privacy or whatever, secrecy, IP protection, they will be able to approve the general content. So it will be the actor saying yay or nay, rather than the tech platform going ahead and saying we're fine with it. Because again, we want it to be about AI complementing the human voice actor's work, not about replacing it. So we don't want to offer it to everyone, because we want to make sure that the companies we work with are companies that are looking to complement the actor's experience, as opposed to just do a quick dirty fix and rock the AI in and thanks very much, give me $10 and go.
Can I ask you a quick question? If we look forward from here, let's look forward, say another 5 years even, right? Go back 25 years, right? Pretty much. And
Then we're all working at Macca's.
we're all at Macca's.
I wasn't born then, sorry.
My best mate's old man was the chairman of the board of a company that was one of the first developers of voice recognition, right? He was the chairman of a company in the UK that basically pioneered that stuff.
Awesome.
And I remember being on a car ride with Roy, who was my mate's dad, and we were talking about voiceover and all this stuff, and he said, we were talking about how voiceover works, and he said there will come a day where a voiceover artist won't be selling them going into a studio to do a session. They will be selling, and back in those days he said CD, right? But they will be selling a file of their voice to someone to use for the purpose that's been described.
Very Nostradamus of him.
That's fascinating.
So
Well,
that's how long this stuff's been in the pipeline, is my point, right?
That means the CIA has had
Sorry.
it for how long now?
Yeah.
But that's my point, though. They were talking about this. That, like, at the time they were developing this stuff, they were actually talking about, okay, how do we do this?
Well, and I would say even more stark is this. When I first really started paying attention to this in 2020, it took about 7 to 10 hours of solid recording to get a really good replica of a person's
And
voice.
now you can do it one shot.
And then in the beginning of 2022, it took about 6 hours. 2024 took maybe an hour. And today, you can literally do what's called a zero shot for 3 to 5 seconds.
But I'll say
of
something about
audio.
the zero shot. I think the zero shot relies on insane amounts of previously collected data on everybody else's voice from before to understand the entire process. And so all of that is still based on theft of everybody because they've gone and sampled the whole world. It's the same way that ChatGTP could never have learned and figured out everything without having the whole internet to suck up. And they've collected so many voices now that they can do a one shot. You know, that is based on having insane amounts of data, essentially.
And that goes back to what all voice platforms, you can't build a house on a swamp unless you kind of bring in the materials to support it. But you have to live in another house until you can build the proper strong foundation. So I think, the craziness of zero shot is incredibly valuable to audio production houses, etc. So along the way of getting there, if we can create the foundation that it's not stolen voices, but it's voices who have signed a contract, who get a licensing fee when that foundational model is sold and licensed, then those actors have contributed and are getting paid. And it's not scraped, it's not stolen, it's not theft. But until we build it, we have to live next door.
Years and years ago, I went to a meeting with the MEAA, which is the Australian Union for Actors. And they were talking about kind of the way residuals will work, which we don't have here necessarily. We have rollovers and stuff like that. But it was all about, like, basically the amount of times an ad gets played, you get paid for it. And I said to them, well, we have a system here already with the music industry, which is APRA, where because everything was computerized in radio, every time a song gets played, it actually goes into a database and people know what song's been played and they get their cut of their royalty. I said, why don't you do a key number with the same system, which has all the information in the key number, including the talent. So every time it gets played, you get money. Like if you do a deal where you go, okay, it's for 3 months only, they could play that 10,000 times in 3 months. Or you do a 12 months, it could get played 500 times. So the whole thing about the duration of the usage of that ad is irrelevant when you look at how many times it gets played.
Impressions.
But talking of that system, that's the kind of idea we need for our voices. So we have a key number in everything that goes out with our information inside that key number, which is basically what you were talking about before. But I thought I'd throw that in there anyway.
Yeah.
By the way, I got poo-pooed about that.
We have the MPAA.
Yes.
Is NAVA the MPAA of the voiceover industry?
No, NAVA is an advocacy group. So NAVA is not a union. NAVA is not trying to track residuals or any of that stuff because that's a whole other can of paperwork.
Wow. But I mean, what's going to be the equivalent of the MPAA and the RIAA for voiceover?
Someone's going to have to step up and do it. I mean, we are trying to get to a point where...
Who's motivated? Who's motivated to do it?
Who has the time and the money? And who wants to paint a target on their backs?
George.
Yeah.
Not me.
I mean, how much of this is SAG and AFTRA just like sitting back and being reactionary instead of on top of it, actually?
Yes,
I think
Robert,
SAG
well
does
said.
a lot of really good things. And I think SAG, I think SAG could improve on a lot of things. And I think voiceover is one of those things, right? We are often very overlooked in the greater sphere of things, which is incredibly frustrating. But, thanks to SAG, I have a pension and I have healthcare. Right? So is it perfect? No, it is certainly not. But are we better than we would be without it? Yes, I believe so.
Yeah. I think it's just the size of the contracts. Like a record label is raking in ginormous sums of money. Film industry is raking in sums of money. But voice actors themselves are not. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Game companies. But the actors themselves don't have that. I don't know. That's what's interesting. Like recording artists have these copyright things and all this stuff that protects them, mechanical licenses and all these things. But voice actors just never have had that.
But also, like, a recording artist doesn't actually make money until they go on tour.
Right.
Well, now they don't. They used to.
That's true now. Yeah, that's used to make a lot of money before. Yeah.
We also used to make a lot of money on a nationwide union commercial, right? And those have gone the way of the dodo. So, like, is there room for improvement all around? Yes, absolutely. Which is, again, why we have to figure out how to put a stake in the ground and say this, not that, this.
And I think
right?
I think one of the things to realize is that there's always going to be the Wild West. There's going to be technology companies from whatever country that are going to be like, we don't care about the rules and go sign up and go clone a voice. But as long as the sort of whatever to like rules based, like if you want to be a legit company in the US and Europe, et cetera, selling product, making product, having a decent name, then you're going to play by these rules and you're not going to steal voices. And then if you want to have like some small time YouTube channel that, or even YouTube shouldn't allow any of it to be trafficked within it. But, you can't put all the toothpaste back in the tube, but I feel like you can get people to voluntarily take their little bit of toothpaste and put it back in the tube until there's a significant amount of it.
I've tried that, Robert, and I've actually managed to get most of the toothpaste back in the tube.
Just squeeze all the air out and then suck it back in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you use it first? Did you brush your teeth and then somehow like?
Yep,
Wow.
absolutely. Waste not, want not. Recycling, man. Come on.
Well, it's clearly going to be a carrot and a stick kind of approach to make this thing change. It's going to be some of both. I don't know if anybody in the voiceover world has a big enough stick, but there's a lot of carrots out there.
I think one of the other things that it's not just the actors. It is everything that revolves around the actors. There's entire scopes of layers of industry and unpeeling the onion. And this is what I do. I have a terrible voice, but I edit a lot of voice. There's a whole bunch of jobs that this affects directly in a big way.
I kind of feel like the way forward here is to sort of not just focus on voice actors, because as I was kind of trying to allude to before, I mean, Jocko Willink, right? One of the hottest podcasts in the world. How much money could a company make by AIing his voice and using it wherever if he's got no right over it and all that sort of stuff? The guy's got millions of followers.
Shh, don't
well, I'm probably giving away the secrets here, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, and this is kind of where I wonder whether rather than voice trying to do their own thing, whether everybody who's got a stake here should come together. I know there's no podcasters union and that's not a clear way forward, but surely if you got
that
people
would be a great way to get critical mass on
Absolutely.
this. If everyone is calling their congressman saying, hey, I don't want my grandmother calling me or me or who, I don't know who calling my grandmother and telling me that I've been kidnapped.
That's one of the reasons why with our technology, we absolutely must have watermarking. Right, tracing tracking, and hopefully soon poison pill. But that's exactly the reason, is because there's too much at stake for too many people. Right?
Yeah.
For Tracy in the audience, can you explain to her what poison pilling is?
Yeah. So,
Hi, Tracy.
Hi, Tracy.
Let's tell you something.
I thought you said for tracing. Should
No,
I
for
tell?
Tracy.
Poison pill is basically to put some code in our watermark technology that would corrupt a file if someone tries to upload it to an AI voice platform and generate a new voice with our audio, right? So if we could put in a watermark from home that says, this is mine, I own it, this is where it's going, please don't post it online. If it shows up on YouTube, it pops up on our tracing tracking site. And then if somebody tries to take that audio and upload it to 11 without your consent, it would corrupt the file and spit out an unusable audio.
Thank you.
So just curious, but you pass that through an analog pass and poison pill is gone.
That's what I was
Supposedly
gonna
it
say,
stays. I mean, that is one of the things that we have been working
Really?
on a lot, is making sure the watermark stays. Now, the poison pill could be different. That's a separate technology and one that's going to be a bit more in depth, but the watermark stays.
This is like you're saying, because you're thinking about like HDCP, Robert.
Yeah, I mean, any of those things like rely on somewhat of a faithful transfer. So there's always a way to transfer it unfaithfully enough, but good enough to strip it of whatever protection. That's been going on since the days of SCMS on the DAT tapes and the CDs.
The logical way of stripping it, the logical way of doing it is to run that. We should be giving this away, but I would imagine you run it through analog tape.
Well, that's what I just said.
And
You
then take
just
off
do
the tape and put it
an
back into
analog
digital.
pass, and you probably will strip
Yeah.
a
But
whole bunch
I
of it.
think we have to have some element of relying on the goodwill of people.
Yeah.
Because
Not everyone's an enemy.
You're not allowed to kill people,
Yeah.
but people still kill people. So
That's what I was saying. This is
if
always
you
gonna
want to find a way
be-
to do it, you can. Sorry, Robert.
Yeah.
Even banks aren't a fortress. That was you've made my point. I mean, you can only do so much, right? But at least you're doing something.
Yeah.
And we've got it to the point where the mastering, it lasts through a ton of mastering, kind of, reverb, compression, ripping it apart. It's like got very, very short gaps through, so you could really literally just take 2 seconds of it, drop it into something else, master it, put music on it, pull it somewhere else, and it'll follow it all the way around. So it's been...
Is there any sort of anything that I have to do as an engineer to make that happen, or does that happen the moment you put that on? Well, actually, okay, how about this? How about you come in to the studio and I'm recording you? is there a legal obligation on me to put that watermark on there, or how does that work?
It's like a thing that she puts on her tooth, and then when she speaks, it all comes out encoded. Just
Very James Bond.
But it makes a lisp out of everything. That's the problem.
It's like having a dog whistle in the back of your throat.
Yeah, no, I'm just interested. How does that end work?
Currently, there's no law, right? Currently, it's a handshake.
No, but how do you see it, though? How do we see it?
I mean,
How would you see it?
Listen, I would love to have it in the hands of everybody so that I'm recording from home. I watermark all of my stuff that leaves here. You get it at your production studio. You send a different watermark on a different layer and send it off to whomever, right? I would love to see that. And I would love for that to be, kind of the quote unquote gentleman's handshake of the industry of like, hey, you like to work? I like to work. Oh my God, you like money? I like money. Let's do this together and make sure that we don't, kill our industry for ease of uploading your voice to 11, right?
The other day I saw my first ad on Facebook saying, take the stress out of mixing. And it was, let AI do your mixing for you. So, it's on its way.
Take yourself out of a job.
I was at Blackmagic's booth at NAB. You just bring in your DaVinci Resolve project, you bring the audio into Fairlight, and you say, Fairlight, just mix it, please. And about 3 minutes later, the video's mixed.
Wow.
So obviously they don't want any audio engineers as their clients.
Blackmagic is video.
I mean, no one's using Fairlight to mix their audio anyway, so I guess that goes.
The video people are using it. The whole point is the video people will not need to use as many audio posts.
That's
the
point.
I get it.
I
get it. Yeah.
But what we're finding though is exactly that people are coming to us because we don't. Like, I think at heart, the majority of people, or at least everyone that's coming to us, is because they don't want to just give into the system. And yes, these technologies are amazing at the moment because they have all this money and investor money behind it, but they're coming to us because we're offering them something that these other companies don't. And I think the more, not that I'm inviting competition, but the whole point is make this better for the industry, protect voice actors, protect audio engineers, protect the, agents. And I mean, when we started, we were even kind of going, we should come up with like the contracts for the actors and decide how much money are you going to get paid for your AI thing. And we were like, whoa, hang on a second. There are agents that already do that are superb at doing it. And then talking to our agent, she was like, hey, and we all kind of said, well, what about if it's like, in a year's time or even now, really, to be fair. But as the agents, they look after the human being, Larissa, actor, that goes out and does whatever, the digital replica, Larissa, actor. And then you can put the two together for certain jobs. So if Larissa's doing a Toyota campaign, because I'm amazing, that then she can say to the Toyota production house, well, would you like her to do your internal messaging so you keep a brand consistent voice? So you have a human being voice working and you have the complementary digital replica, or, a system that keeps the industry the same industry where people can still keep their jobs and still be creative beings, but it gives a lift and a support to an area that in some places, it can do it better, faster, but as long as it's also doing it authentically, that's what we care about. As long as people are getting paid when it happens from everyone down the chain, then I think that's what we're striving for.
I was going to say, how are the agents
Amazing.
looking at this?
It's been amazing because it really is, our job, the way we see this is our job is to augment their ability to make money. Right? So I see a future where agents have an animation department, a commercial department, a trailer department, and a digital replica department. Right? So we make audio demos of the talent that record with us and send it to their agent so their agent can use it as a marketing tool. And they've been amazing. We've spoken with every agency in town and several agencies around the globe. And again, the fact that we're actually coming to them as people in the industry, not going like, yeah, we made some tech, bro. Like, we actually want to work with you. We are going to protect your actors. We are not going to add their information to training data unless they have a separate contract that says, yes, I would like to be added to your training data for an additional fee, right? We're not opening this up as a marketplace. The people that contract with us have very specific access to very specific models. It's not just a free-for-all. So agents feel comfortable with us because we actually give a damn.
You know the biggest winner out of this? If this flies the way you want it to fly, the biggest winner is going to be the agents. Because without this, they're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I come back to one question I started asking before, but we never got to the end of, just before you go? If we get to this nirvana where all the boxes are ticks and everybody's aligned and voice actors are selling their samples to go off and have commercials made out of them and stuff, what does that do to the craft of voice acting in general?
Listen, I don't think main characters are going to be replaced anytime soon, right? I think there will always be a place for, the Courtney Taylors and the, Nolan Norths to come in and bring life to a character beautifully. I think there is going to be some hardship in different parts of the industry, and it's hard to see it coming and know that there's very little any of us can do to stop it. That scares me a lot. And entry-level jobs I'm worried about, right? So again, like our whole vision has been to not replace people, but to give them additional sources of income. So we've actually turned away a ton of companies that just want to come in and start replacing people willy-nilly. We really want to make sure that that is not the path that we take. There are others who don't care, right? And they will take those jobs. Other AI platforms will take those jobs. And that's very difficult to know that it's coming. I think the industry will shrink. I think the people who are able to make a living doing this will become a smaller circle. I think it's going to be a really tough couple of years until the pendulum kind of shifts back. I liken it to this. Around 2000, if you'll recall, 3D graphics came out, and suddenly everything looked like Shrek. Right? It was like this big, bulbous hurdy-gurdy walking around, right? And everything looked like that. And it was ugly, right? And it was really kitschy for a minute. It was kind of neat. And then it was like, oh, God, this all looks the same. And people started complaining, right? Like, oh.
It's already that way with AI voices. And I think the only thing that's even better is if this AI starts feeding on itself and starts getting worse and worse and worse.
So now we have more 2D animation main characters and 3D animation background, right? I can see the same thing happening with AI because a lot of the companies that we've spoken to have been like, look, man, I don't know. My boss just told me I got to implement AI. I don't know how, I don't know why, but I got to do it. Even if it's more expensive than hiring a human, I got to fit AI in here somehow. So there's this massive pendulum swing because it's the buzzword and everybody's hair is on fire to get AI going and make it the thing. And there's a backlash. Games right now are very cautious about using AI. Any of the major game studios are like, I'm not going to ship anything with AI. I don't want to upset my fans. Great. That's great for actors. And so I think there's a place that it will work and there is a place that it will even out.
Can I add two things? Yeah, one is like what we are hearing a lot is that all of y'all who are audio production people are all creatives as well. And creatives want to work with creatives. So the kind of that synergy together will always stay. That's what a lot of the game companies are doing, is it's like, we may use it for scratch or for R&D and to speed up the process, or maybe in commercials we might do it so that we can get a feel and hear how the commercial sounds, but we want to go to the actor for the real thing because we understand that that kind of magic that comes out of a human being, the soul that comes out of the human being. What is it? AI doesn't have trauma is kind of the catchphrase, is that's where the magic happens. And that there have been studies, specifically SiriusXM did an extraordinary study where they were playing, polling a whole lot of people, playing them AI, playing them human beings, blah, blah, blah. What they discovered is that 100% across the board, if AI was trying to sell them magic or persuade
emotion.
them, or
anything with emotion,
bring passion or emotion, anything with emotion, terrible. People hated it, don't want it, they could pick it, they didn't like it. Even if they didn't know if it was, they just didn't like the thing. Now, if AI was giving them a list of car parts, if AI was giving them, these are the features of the hotel, all about it. If AI is saying, come to our beautiful hotel, don't want to hear it. So there is, I think human beings do recognize the difference. Will that change in 20 years' time when this generation comes up, having heard it so much? I don't know. I'm not a fortune teller. But I do think there really is hope because creative artists want to be artists.
I think there's another aspect to it. Also, if you're a creative leaning on AI technology, what you use will eventually come right back around and hit you. And if you're a writer using an AI voice, you're the next one to be replaced as well. And I think that in the back of everyone's head, they know that.
It's called mutually assured destruction, Robert.
Yeah. I had a friend who was doing an ADR session, and they couldn't get the actor to do it properly. And they ended up, at the end of the session, at the end of the hour with, this is good enough. And, half hour later, my buddy who's an engineer emails the director back and says like, hey, I've got something that I think you're going to like. It solves the problem. I don't think you're going to want to know how I did it. And the director said, I don't even want to hear it. I don't want to like it. I want nothing to do with it. And that was that. And that was cool. It's like, I just rather have an organic production and not have any of this junk in it. And that way, we're all in it together. And
so what are our listeners supposed to do now?
Join us.
What is the action item? Where should they go?
Freak out.
Number one, if you are a voice actor, please join NAVA. It's navavoices.org. They are doing the Lord's work. They're out there every day.
Or AVA.
Yeah, or AVA in Australia.
Or AVA or CAVA, or, look at the Association of Voice Actors in whatever area you live in. They are the best of us, truly doing incredible work. Also, NAVA, and I'm sure AVA and CAVA and all of the other AVAs have it on their website for free right now, an AI writer that you can attach to any contract. It is free for anybody under the sun to put on any contract that you work on that says, you don't have the right to take my recordings to generate an AI voice. So that is for free right now at navavoices.org, I believe, on their AI subpage. So that's number one. Number two, if you want to hear more about what we're doing, you can come to ethovox.ai. That's ethovox.ai. We have a sign up where you can just, get our newsletters when we have 5 minutes to put them together, which is not as often as I would like.
You should just have AI do that. AI will make wonderful newsletters for you. Yeah.
No, because we're humans. We want the humans to answer. I mean, I know it's easier, but there is a real value to that. Sorry, Cissy, go.
I would also say legitimately, and I know this feels like lip service, but it's not. If you live in a country, learn what laws are going through your system and how you can be involved. If it means you live in the States and you're calling your reps, call your reps. I don't know what the process is in Australia, but get involved. I mean, they need to know that this matters, right? They need to know that it's not just the rich and famous that are losing their voices. It's literally all of us. I think those are my big three. Riss, you got any others?
No, I think that's it. Like, just be read your contracts. Read
your contracts.
Actors,
Christ Almighty.
Production houses. Read your contracts. The fine. What is it?
Fine print.
Teeny tiny language at the bottom of the thing. Thank you. Fine print. Thank you. Of all of those contracts about training data and what you are submitting to when you want to get your quick little pickup from Zero Shot or whatever, can be really helpful if you're in the studio late at night doing that. But you are giving your actor's voice away and you are giving your studio's IP away. So read your contracts.
Please just have a conversation with us. Not us, Ethovox. Have a conversation with your actors. Like, I'm sure an actor would rather just do like a 5-minute pickup than have their stuff uploaded to a site without their knowledge. Please don't do that.
Absolutely.
Please don't do that.
Yeah, I think that's a huge thing. If you're a writer, if you're an editor, if you're anybody, you got to realize that you do not have the right to upload any willy-nilly audio file into these systems. These systems are currently, I think, pariahs.
Yeah. And the other thing, on the closing note, AI cannot replicate the imperfections of the human voice.
That's right. I mean, how would it possibly do
exactly.
Ted Kennedy's voice? Wait, hold on. No.
On that note.
Well, we should say thank you, Cissy and Larissa, for being here, but were they really?
Oh, I don't know.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Well, that was fun. Is it over?
The Pro Audio Suite, with thanks to Tribooth and Austrian Audio. Recorded using Source Connect. Edited by Andrew Peters and mixed by Robbo. Got your own audio issues? Just ask Robbo.com. With tech support from George the Tech Whittam. Don't forget to subscribe to the show and join in the conversation on our Facebook group. To leave a comment, suggest a topic, or just say g'day, drop us a note at our website, proaudiosuite.com.